Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rebuttal podcast, where we break down case law, comedy, and chaos in the legal field. I am your host, Reb Maisel, and I just hopped on to record this episode really quickly because my boyfriend is about to BBQ outside. It is a beautiful day. It's getting chilly again in the evenings now, which in Southern California, that truly is a blessing. I am a cold weather gal, a fall weather gal. And I wasn't anticipating recording a podcast today, but I saw this story, went down the rabbit hole, and needed to tell you about it immediately because you deserve it. Love you. Arizona inmate David Cramer, who was serving a 30-year sentence, got out 22 years early because he filed a fake court order on the record, sent it to the prison saying, "Release him now," forged the judge's signature and the stamp, and it worked. And they let him out with a wave and a smile, with his possessions in a bag thrown over his shoulder, going, "Bye, this checks out, this pans out." No one even blinked to ask, wait a minute. He's only been here for 8 years, and it's a 30-year kidnapping sentence. Maybe this sounds a little fishy. No, it does not to Arizona, baby. Not to Arizona. Nope, it worked. Not only did it work, he was out for 2 full months before the prison realized that shit went awry. And if you're thinking, oh, they had no reason to think someone would do this, him and his daughters, yes, his daughters, that he had used as body shields when he was being arrested for felony drug possession, when the cops pulled guns on him, those daughters, they founded a company solely for the purpose of filing fake things on the record in their dad's case since 2012. Yes, since 2012. The court and prison have known about this. These daughters have been menaces, okay? Menaces. They have filed the most random things, fake orders, fake motions, all that, and neither of them are attorneys. Neither of them are authorized to practice law in Arizona. The court clerk sent them a letter in 2019 saying, hey, stop doing this. We are going to refer you to the state bar. This is insane. And for whatever reason, they just kept doing it and then never got in trouble. But it didn't mean that the judge and the court and the prison weren't fully aware. The judge had to issue so many orders saying, yeah, whatever they just filed is fake. Whatever they just filed is not what I said. That's actually not what I said. And prison officials still did not double check that this man was to be released 22 years early. So he got out of prison and was not recaptured until 2 months later. Why, you may ask? Because the court had ordered in June, a few days after he was released. They had already ordered, oh, hey, so that random order that you transmitted to the prison and then filed on the docket, that one's fake, that one's fraudulent. Nobody listened to that one. Please don't listen to it. And the prison 2 months later said, wait, what? And the court said, what? He's still in prison, right? No one's checking their email at the prison. The Department of Corrections in Arizona, their press releases are so hilariously funny because they keep referring to this being really complex and an investigation's ongoing into how this could have happened, right? There's just a lot of moving parts here. They're trying to put this guy up on a pedestal and his daughters as if they are criminal masterminds. But literally everyone who's even mildly followed the case is like, this is not complex at all. This seems incredibly simple. You guys just don't refresh your email or refresh the docket page on someone's case that is literally about to be released. Like, don't you think before you hand them a suitcase and a "we'll miss you" card and let them pack their bag, you might triple check that that's actually okay? A comprehensive investigation is currently underway involving multiple agencies affected by the document fraud. Right. Given the multiple entities impacted, a wide-ranging investigation is underway to identify necessary improvements, including enhanced communication and verification, to ensure this remains an isolated incident. Well, it's never been an isolated incident. You've been ignoring the fact that this has been happening for 15 years. Like, Why were these people, his daughters specifically, not in trouble for this until now? And even then, like, they're not. The only way that they're in trouble, by the way, the state bar filed a lawsuit against the daughters, I think a friend, maybe a son, I don't know who the third person is, and their fake company, saying, hey, stop it. Stop it right now. And not only did these daughters do this and then get caught and then their dad be arrested again, right? Thrown back into prison, maximum security facility. They doubled down. They said, he was released from a valid court order. It was signed and sealed and delivered and notarized. What's the problem? They did a sit-down interview with the news saying, this is legal and within our rights. Common law. This is right. They're citing Article 3 of the Constitution. I'm in love and obsessed. I love people who are this delusional because it gets to a point where you're so far away from us that it feels like I'm watching a movie, right? Like you are so out of touch with what's happening right now in front of our faces. I would love to live in the world that you are, right? What world are you living in? Let me vacation or do a flyby, drive-by at the very least, right? And this interview is absolutely a drive-by that we're going to do together. I'm excited. I know. I'm going to play it for us. Don't worry. And what kills me is it's not like one guy, secretary, reading the newspaper, doing the crossword, and signing the orders releasing prisoners is the last line of defense and the only thing stopping anyone from being let out. Several people, right? You have to. Like, it has to be going through several people signing off on someone's release paperwork. I'm not 100% sure how that works, right? Like within internal, right? The internal systems. But if it's one guy, if it's two guys or three guys, I know for a fact it can't possibly be one chump at the front hitting stamp release, stamp not release. Like there's just no way. So that's why it's even more embarrassing because several people were like, this looks legit. Let's not even refresh the docket. I would say, right? Like you want to sometimes cheer for the little guy, right? Setting aside the heinous crimes that he committed. You want to cheer for someone who kind of finagles the man. Absolutely, right? Like definitely. But unfortunately, these people, I feel like just are really awful and suck. Like I wish, God, like why can't people just shut up about everything else? Why can't they just do funny things and let it lie and not have to hop on an interview and make me hate you? Like I hate you. Shut up, okay? Yeah, the doubling down was really where you lost me. But Let's get into this. So this is the saga. Records show that in 2017, 2018, and 2019, Cramer and his daughters, associated with a business called Black Canyon Enterprises, LLC, filed multiple fake documents claiming the court had vacated Cramer's sentence or ordered his release. So they just continuously sent the same message. He's free. He's free. He's vacated. Sentence vacated over and over and over again, hoping it eventually would stick. And essentially, 8 years after they started doing that, it worked. Take whatever lesson you would like from that, some overarching life lesson. Try again, the little engine that could. At various times, Cramer or one of his children have been listed as the owner of Black Canyon Enterprises, LLC or Black Canyon Enterprises, PLLC. According to the company's website, it provides, quote, legal support, fiduciary services, sentence reduction, and final wish protection, though no one associated with the business is licensed to practice law in Arizona, because of course they're not. But this would constitute the unauthorized practice of law. And the only thing I'll say is sentence reduction is at least truthful. If you really want to get into the weeds here, they are doing their best. At one point, the clerk's office even file-stamped one of the fake documents filed by Cramer showing it had been officially accepted. A court order dated August 28, 2018 later said the document was stamped in error. Because the clerk's office was unable to confirm the signature as a judicial officer and for other irregularities in the document, it is ordered directing the clerk of Superior Court to reject the document, Judge Sam Myers wrote. The next year, in 2019, the clerk's office sent Black Canyon Enterprises a letter warning it to stop, for the love of God, filing the illegitimate court orders. Quote, The presiding criminal judge, as well as criminal court administration, have been made aware of this submission, as well as prior submissions made by Black Canyon Enterprises, LLC, whereby one of its representatives purported to be a judge or commissioner of the Maricopa County Superior Court and sign off on invalid writs and orders. Jessica Fotinos, the Maricopa County Clerk's General Counsel, wrote in the June 17th, wow, I cannot talk. Jessica Fotinos, the Maricopa County Clerk's General Counsel, wrote in the June 17, 2019 letter. Fotinos warned the clerk would contact law enforcement if the filings continued. Quote, if this conduct continues, the clerk's office will have no other choice but to refer these matters to law enforcement for investigation and the State Bar of Arizona for the unauthorized practice of law. Spoiler, the warning didn't work, but it's unclear which steps the clerk's office took to monitor Cramer's case or otherwise ensure that future fraudulent filings did not fall through the cracks. But unfortunately, they would, obviously. And not only that, it's not like, oh, they sent the letter and then didn't realize that more fraudulent filings were happening. They sent the letter and then were like, all right, back to it. This is fraudulent. Stop it. This is fraudulent. Knock it off. Come on. Come on. What is the security? That brings us to April 1st, 2025, when a new document was filed in Cramer's case again, claiming he was acquitted and a judge ordered his release. Judge Sunita Cairo struck down the filing for, quote, having no basis in law or fact, according to a minute entry dated April 4th. But persistence is the name of the game here at Blackstone LLC and for the Cramer family. This blood is indeed thicker than water, but maybe we should thin it out a bit because, girls, he used you as a body shield. Like, can we remember? Can we maybe think a little harder? You were 7 years old being used as a body shield. And their arguments aren't even, oh, well, our dad has repented, like he said sorry. They're like, he was wrongfully convicted. He never did that shit. Whatever. Later that month, his daughters filed the first of 3 new fraudulent documents purportedly showing his charges were dismissed and a judge had ordered his release. Let's go. Keep it up. Keep going. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Am I right? This time, no one flagged the illegitimate orders. And Cramer's daughter used them to secure his release from the Lewis prison in Buckeye, Arizona, according to her social media posts. Because if you're going to commit crimes, felony, help someone escape from prison, absolutely live stream, absolutely document it online in a way that's copyable and really is going to last forever. That's what I would say. This is what his daughter wrote on social media. Geniuses are at work here. Quote, I've been fighting the court, filing papers, baby, we know. And right now I'm on my way to the prison to go pick up my dad after serving DOC, Department of Corrections, with his release order that I got a judge to sign. The post is no longer available. Right. 100%. See, even saying that you've been filing papers, like, girl, you can't, there's no plausible deniability anymore. There's no, oh, it was someone else logging into my email. It's not, oh, I didn't, it was someone else who signed it. I thought that it was a real order. Like, what am I supposed to do? No, you literally put that, his release order that I got a judge to sign. What judge? What judge, babe? I have a gavel displayed over there. Would you like me? Is that enough? I don't know. I would love to know what she thinks a judge is, what they look like, what they sound like, how you go about talking to one, how you go about getting one to sign something applicable to your father in prison. I would love to hear her explanation because, again, like I said, she's a talker. I think she'd give it to me. Hopefully she sees this episode. Come on, sister. We have something to chat about. Judge Cairo eventually negated the fraudulent orders, so did the same dance of these are fraudulent, stop it, enough, these have no basis in law or fact, a few weeks later in June. But unfortunately, prison officials had already released David Cramer based on this order, which his daughter already told everyone about and was streaming about and was literally giving exact details about every lawyer's worst nightmare. Shut it. Shut your mouth. Shut it. Okay, shut up. 2 months. He got 2 months of freedom, David Cramer, where I think he just went home. Like he wasn't like on the run, on his way to, New Zealand, Mexico, somewhere crazy. Like he just sat in Arizona. Of all the places to go, look, no hate. But if I successfully got myself out of prison in a way that didn't result in a manhunt for me, mind you, like that's the important part here as well. Of all the places I'd like to stay and extend that freedom as long as possible, Arizona would be last on my list. Close to last. Not exactly last. Like, let's at least cross a line. A state line would be lovely. Maybe even a border. Imagine that, right? Think bigger. You can think well enough to file fake orders and copy signatures, but you didn't think far enough ahead to purchase a plane ticket. And mind you, too, you are still, as far as the prison knows, the court's the only one who knows that they think that you're still going to sleep with 3 squares and a cot in a facility. You could have gotten out of Dodge. I am not giving tips to people who escape prison, but let's just be serious here. You just sat in the same town in Arizona near the prison and said, yay. Like that's why I know for a fact that these daughters really were this delusional. Like they really are in a world that, again, I love watching as an outsider from the reality that they have and I do not, and no one else has really at all, except for them, right, in their own little world. Because they would have gotten him out of Dodge. They would have had some kind of plan to get him somewhere that's really hard to get him back from, right? And Arizona has to do a bunch of backflips to try to find him, all right? No, they just went to their normal fucking house in Arizona. Like, go to Alaska, go hunt and fish, go on a big roller coaster, the biggest one in the world, go kayaking, learn how to knit in a new location, do a photo shoot in Hawaii, right? With the girls. Your prison body probably goes crazy. I don't know. Let's think a little bit more outside of this box you're putting yourself in. All you did in Arizona is sit around and do nothing until they caught you again. I don't have sympathy. Like, even if this would have been a really cool criminal mastermind, like, you know what I mean? Come on. His daughters were so delusional. That's how you know. They genuinely believed that this was legit. They genuinely believed that there was nothing wrong with this, that everything was going to be fine, that this was a legitimate way for him to get out of prison. Like, they just schooled the system. Yay, this is amazing. 22 years off of his sentence. Can you believe it? This is legal and fine and real. They made a timeline for this man, okay? And it starts in 1991? No, 1990, okay? July 6, 1990 was the first time he had escaped from custody, okay? For something or another. His second escape was July 31st, 1995. He again escapes from custody in Arizona. Babes, maybe let's put an air tag on him. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you should at least look at him a little side eye twice, you know? Sometimes, okay, you need to know that this is kind of in someone's wheelhouse, that this is predictable. On February 21st, 2014, David Cramer is sentenced to 3 decades, 30 years in prison, after being found guilty on 6 felony and misdemeanor charges, including kidnapping, resisting arrest, endangerment, and unlawful imprisonment. All in relation to him using his daughters as a shield. In April and May 2025, fake documents were filed, purportedly dismissing charges and ordering Cramer's release. He was indeed released in June. But then, and this is where I think we've lost the plot here, okay, daughters of David Cramer. One of his daughters, her name is Haven McQueen. She is purportedly running this fake, weird, unauthorized practice of law company called Blackstone LLC, right? Really specializing in sentence reductions, quote unquote. So she, I'm presuming, starts helping out other people because her dad is like a success story. Instead of like, this is a crime. Like, he literally escaped from prison. She allegedly filed fake documents in an unrelated case, still with the fake filing, on July 29, 2025, after her dad had already been out illegally for a month. So she's playing with fire, okay? Maybe just retire from this side biz. Just do a Mary Kay MLM. Do a pyramid scheme like every other normal white girl who has some delusions about their own cunning and success. Just start finagling regular people out of their hard-earned cash by buying really ugly leggings to sell to other people and get 7 friends to blah, blah, blah. Just do what normal, weird, annoying people do. Stop trying to be an attorney. What are you doing? Then on August 15th, 2025, a tipster, who could it be? I don't know. A tipster notifies law enforcement about potentially fraudulent documents in David Cramer's case. And on August 20th, 2025, okay, 5 days later, after they were like, are we sure that it's, yeah, we messed up. Oh my God. They go rearrest David Cramer. All right. They arrest him again. And apparently without incident. They knocked on the door and they were like, come on, get in the car, hands up. What? Boo-boo the fool. That's what we look like. Get in the car. Don't even, no, I don't want to talk to you right now. Stop it. So that's where we're at, okay? This is an order from February 24th, 2015 from the State of Arizona Court of Appeals in relation to his 30-year conviction for a variety of crimes. Let's find out what exactly he did. On July 20th, 2012, Peoria police officer Graham responded to a 911 call from citizens concerned about Cramer's behavior in the park with his two children, G and P. Officer Graham observed that Cramer's motions were, quote, very jerky and rapid, and that he, quote, couldn't stand still. When Graham attempted to speak with Cramer's daughter, P, Cramer cursed at him and grabbed his children with a pulling, jerking action and started to walk away. Graham told Cramer to calm down, and then Graham walked away to speak with Cramer's wife to, quote, de-escalate the situation. Graham obtained Cramer's identifying information from his wife and learned that Cramer had an outstanding warrant for his arrest. After Graham asked Cramer's wife to get her children, Graham and two other officers walked toward Cramer to arrest him. As they neared Cramer, Cramer's wife asked to see the children. P ran to her mother, but Cramer picked up his son by wrapping his arms around the front of his son and pulled his son up to his chest so that the son was looking out toward Graham. Cramer then yelled that they couldn't control him and to get away from him and to not touch him. Graham and Cramer's wife urged Cramer to release his son, but he refused. When an officer put his hand on Cramer, Cramer fell to his knees, still holding his son, and bent over on top of the child. Graham told Cramer that he was under arrest, but Cramer tucked his arms under his body until officers were able to handcuff him. Cramer claimed injury and was taken to a hospital. At the hospital, Cramer eluded police custody and left the hospital. Police subsequently learned that Cramer and his wife and children were staying at a Glendale hotel. On July 25th, 2012, shortly after midnight, police observed Cramer leave the hotel in his Lincoln Navigator with his wife and children. Detective Chang followed Cramer and executed a vehicle and containment maneuver to block the Navigator. Chang got out of his car, yelled police, and ordered Cramer to show his hands. Cramer refused to comply. All of the detectives wore ballistic vests with police written on the vests. Cramer's wife jumped into Cramer's lap as Cramer sat in the driver's seat, braced herself with her feet against the dashboard, and barricaded herself up as though she was trying to shield Cramer. Mind you, the children were all in the car. She was also saying no and screaming a lot more. At the same time, Cramer attempted to move the Navigator, but the containment maneuver had him blocked. Detective DiCarlo then shattered the driver's side window so that Chang could grab Cramer. Before Chang could reach him, however, Cramer crawled into the back seat, hunched down, had his children over the top of him, squeezing a hold of them kind of like a bear hug or choking them. Concerned for the children's safety, an officer tased Cramer. Cramer flailed around and screamed before releasing the children, but he still did not comply with officers' commands. At that time, a canine officer deployed his dog to bite Cramer's neck. As the dog dragged Cramer out of the Navigator, Cramer took his daughter and put his daughter into the face of the dog. I will say at this point, and you know me, with respect to police, law enforcement, me saying that I think that this guy was indeed doing crimes that would predictably result in his warrants, okay? Like, he wasn't just arrested for acting erratic in the park. All weapons charges, major drug charges, misconduct involving weapons in 2014, misconduct involving weapons, misconduct involving weapons, another misconduct involving weapons, another misconduct involving weapons, another misconduct involving weapons, a narcotic drug violation, resisting arrest. I'm not saying that police officers should use excessive force even when someone has an arrest warrant like right out for them. I do think at this point, knowing that there were children anywhere near that car, a canine dog should not have been employed, but who am I? I think a lot of things could have been different. I think shattering the front seat glass when you don't think that this guy has a weapon. I mean, I guess he did have prior misconduct weapon charges, so how do you know? But you know that there's kids in the back. Like, the moment you know that there's kids in the back, you should be moving differently as law enforcement, period. And they never, like, that is insane to me that he had his children on top of him, body shielding, right? As far as all the witnesses say. And you deployed the dog. How traumatic can that be? Oof. That's horrifying. Okay, we'll keep going. When the dog lost his bite, the dog was deployed a second time until the officers tased Cramer again and were able to remove him from the navigator. Cramer continued to struggle, fighting and kicking at the officers. Based on this incident, the state charged Cramer with 2 counts of kidnapping, P, the daughter, each a Class 2 felony, and a domestic violence offense and a dangerous crime against children for knowingly restraining her with the intent to hold her for ransom as a shield or hostage, and for knowingly restraining her with the intent to interfere with the performance of a governmental or political function. The state also charged Cramer with 1 count of endangerment of G, the other child, a Class 1 misdemeanor and domestic violence offense, and 1 count of resisting arrest, a Class 6 felony. Based on the July 20th incident, the state charged Cramer with 2 counts of kidnapping of G, each a Class 2 felony, domestic violence offense, and dangerous crime against children for knowingly restraining him with the intent to hold him for ransom as a shield or hostage, and for knowingly restraining him with the intent to interfere with the performance of a governmental or police function. Cramer was also charged with resisting arrest, a Class 6 felony. At trial, Cramer testified about the July 20th incident and stated that he was frightened of police from previous interactions and was simply trying to protect his children from them. He acknowledged that he was making payments to a bail bond company on a prior case, but claimed that on July 20th he had no idea that the police were attempting to arrest him on a warrant based on that case. On cross-examination, Cramer acknowledged that he had missed a court date, but maintained he was told that the case was dismissed. Regarding the July 25th incident, Cramer testified that he did not know he had been arrested on July 20th. Or, like this, why are you on the stand? Or that he had an outstanding warrant for his arrest because he had no police guard at the hospital and was simply allowed to leave. Cramer also testified that his bail's bondsman never told him that he had missed a court date or had a warrant out for his arrest. Finally, Cramer maintained that he was unaware that the police were barricading his vehicle and that he was trying to protect his children when he held them to him. The jury acquitted Cramer on kidnapping P with the intent to use P as a shield or hostage, but found him guilty of kidnapping P with the intent to interfere with the performance of a government function, and found that offense was a dangerous crime against children. The jury also acquitted him of kidnapping G with the intent to use G as a shield or hostage, but found him guilty of the lesser included offense of unlawful imprisonment of G. The jury found him guilty of kidnapping G with the intent to interfere with the performance of a government function, and found the offense was a dangerous crime against children. The jury further found him guilty of endangerment of G, a domestic violence offense, and 2 counts of resisting arrest. The trial court sentenced Cramer to presumptive sentences totaling 24 years in prison. And he appealed his conviction. This is what the appellate court found. On July 20th, Cramer used his children to keep the officers at bay when they attempted to arrest him on his outstanding warrant. Fewer than 4 days later, acting on the same outstanding warrant, police again tried to arrest Cramer. Once again, Cramer refused to comply with the officers' directives and attempted to evade arrest by placing his children between him and the officers. The evidence of these incidents was cross-admissible. So basically, he had no counter to the evidence, to the body camera footage, et cetera, et cetera. Like, that is indeed what happened. Also relevant to this is there were instructions specifically given to the children from Cramer to essentially stay on him. Shortly after police shattered the navigator's window, and while police were still attempting to apprehend Cramer, P jumped into the front seat of the vehicle. Detective Carlo went to the driver's window and told P to come with him. P went to the detective, and the detective removed her from the vehicle. As the officer carried her, P said that they were not supposed to do that when she was in the car. A few minutes later, while waiting for the fire department to arrive, P told another detective, quote, "I was just sleeping, and then I heard my dad say it's the cops, and he told me to jump on top of him." That is where we're at. All right. And obviously, I think an incident like that is traumatic for everyone involved. I believe that as a parent, you intentionally having your children with you when you know you're going to be confronted by police as a strategy, putting them in harm's way intentionally, is bad parenting. Do with that what you will. But regardless of that, it doesn't matter. His children are probably still going to love him, clearly. Love him enough to be embarrassed by him over and over again, and also embarrass themselves completely separate and apart in ways that I don't really think he has a lot to do with at this point. They've essentially been committing all of these fraudulent actions, filing all these random fake documents on the record. Don't think that he's like some master manipulator. These girls are absolutely fully aware of what they're doing. On September 18th, 2025, an Arizona court ordered both of his children to stop their, quote, unauthorized practice of law. The State Bar of Arizona sued Haven McQueen and Paris Cramer the week prior, saying they aren't authorized to practice law in Arizona or any other jurisdiction, and also asked the court to issue the cease and desist order. McQueen and Paris Cramer are the daughters of David Cramer, an Arizona prison inmate who was released from the Lewis State Prison Complex on July 2nd, decades before his sentence was up. State prison officials said the release was due to fraudulent court papers filed with the department and the courts. In their request for an order, the state bar, who probably, mind you, after this guy was recaptured on August 20th, think about this. They filed this lawsuit so fast. They were battening down the hatches, right? Thinking, oh my God, we have slept on the job. Still, there haven't been criminal charges pursued. I'm not a prosecutor, right? I'm not the cops. Never will be. Don't slander me like that. But impersonating a judge, a judicial officer, lying to the court, finagling to get someone out of prison. Like, how are more things not happening? I literally think they just want to sweep this under the rug because they're so embarrassed, which is crazy. Like these girls are just chilling. Like they helped someone escape from prison. Maybe not Alcatraz style, but a really dumb way. Still a way though. Still a way. All right. Just because you're not digging tunnels, okay? Shawshank Redemption style doesn't mean that we should just go, whoops, this is embarrassing, boo-boo the fool, and like let them keep moving because they're gonna keep doing this stuff because they are sticking to their original story, their story of we are fully within our rights and this is actually super legal. Ooh, let's find out more about whether it is. I know you guys are on the edge of your seat. The state bar's lawsuit details McQueen's involvement in the preparation and filing of the court documents that led to David Cramer's release. McQueen's name appears on the paperwork as attorney in fact, quote unquote, and deputy clerk. Now, you know damn well, honey. According to the lawsuit, she was also described on Black Canyon Enterprises' website as the executive director and, quote, attorney at law who, quote, specializes in sentence reduction, guardianship, and legal filings. Right. Paris Cramer was listed as a co-owner and attorney at law, in parentheses, non-communicative role. Those are words. These are sentences. In their request for an order, the state bar noted how unusual it was to ask for a cease and desist in such a case, saying it didn't believe it had ever requested one before. Quote, the state bar is concerned that members of the public may consult with or hire Black Canyon Enterprises, PLLC, to perform legal services or provide legal advice, and that they may suffer immediate and irreparable injury, loss, and damage unless the respondents are judicially precluded from continuing to engage in the unauthorized practice of law and represent others, the state bar wrote. Judge Adele Ponce granted the request Tuesday, ordering McQueen, Paris Cramer, Cynthia Baker, and Black Canyon Enterprises PLLC to, quote, immediately cease and desist engaging in the unauthorized practice of law in Arizona. The judge also ordered them to immediately stop using any language reasonably likely to lead people to believe they or the company can provide legal services in Arizona. McQueen did not respond to ABC 15's request for comment, the article that I'm reading from here. But the week prior, she sat down with ABC 15 to talk about her father's case, insisting the court documents were legitimate, which is such an iconic stance to take. It's, again, the fantasy world, the planet. I feel like I am an Avatar, right? The film, okay? The blue people, the blue, big, large people. I feel like when I hear her speak, I'm inhabiting a blue person and booping around and going, wow, so this is like how you live in your culture. I'm going to observe and then walk it right back to where other people live, right? Live and think and see. Except the blue avatars were cool and indigenous and clearly modeled off of Native Americans and indigenous people generally, okay, from around the world. She is modeled after psychosis. Sometimes you are indeed so stupid. It's beyond Dunning-Kruger, the Dunning-Kruger effect. If you don't know what that is, just Google it. You get to a point where you're so stupid, you think that you're the smartest person in the room, living in a world that we can visit, but God bless, we're not inhabiting. According to the lawsuit, the Black Canyon Enterprises mission listed on its website said the company was, quote, not a law firm, but was made up of, quote, constitutional advocates working under natural law. This is where it gets to Looney Tunes land, okay? These are absolutely sovereign citizen people. If you don't know what that is, bless you. And may you continue to be divinely protected from all things stupid and a waste of your time. To give you a summary, sovereign citizenship assertions are not new. They are simply the most recent example of a pervasive movement involving unique views on the constitutionality of the United States jurisdiction and ability to punish or tax its citizens. While the various groups have differing names and ideologies, the vast majority in the United States can be classified as, quote, sovereign citizens. The FBI describes sovereign citizens as anti-government extremists who believe that even though they physically reside in the country, they are separate or sovereign from the United States. Evolving from a combination of 4 different movements, just stealing from everyone for no reason, the tax protester movement, the Posse Comitatus, the Patriot Movement, and the Common Law Courts. The sovereign citizen movement began in the 1960s and gained adherents well into the 1990s. Following the economic downturn in 2008, because we get broke and we get desperate, the movement saw a resurgence. In fact, despite no unifying leader or firmly established tenets, the Southern Poverty Law Center estimates that there are over 300,000 sovereign citizens in America today. Most often, sovereign citizens contest the United States jurisdiction over them as federal defendants. Yup. Most often, they just complain when they are booked for things and are indicted for a crime, and then their entire argument that they think is going to be the mic drop, like genuinely, all of these people genuinely think that these are the legal arguments that are going to get them out, is that, oh, you don't have jurisdiction over me as a federal defendant because I've not consented to that jurisdiction. It is the exact same equivalent to I didn't sign the Constitution, so it doesn't apply to me. In pursuing their rights, sovereign citizens, quote unquote, sovereign citizens engage in paper terrorism, which includes the filing of false liens against government officials and a multitude of other civil claims based on abstract violations of the Uniform Commercial Code. These tactics impose tremendous hardship on civil servants, both in terms of monetary expenditures and of staff psychological distress. Sometimes conflicts between sovereign citizens and the government end in bloodshed. Although identifying the tactics used by the sovereign citizen movement is fairly easy, succinctly defining its beliefs and aims can be exceedingly difficult. Sovereign citizens have no leader, no central repository for ideas, and no unifying collective mission. Most adherents get their information through nebulous web pages or YouTube videos. Generally, sovereign citizens believe that the 14th Amendment of the Constitution created a second form of citizenship that, quote, enslaved or created a contract with the population under a federal corporation. I'm being dead serious. An extension of this belief asserts the United States went bankrupt in 1933, and subsequently the government borrowed collateral by using the future earnings of citizens to back its currency. As part of these beliefs, members seek to disassociate or divest the legally fictional persons from their natural persons to remove the United States jurisdiction and financially take advantage of their inherent sovereignty. For the judges, prosecutors, and civil servants that regularly engage with these groups, dealing with incoherent legal arguments can be daunting. Sovereign citizens' arguments do not follow traditional legal or common logic, yet they need to be coherently addressed. And I do think that they should be heard. I'm not arguing against that, but God, is it daunting, let me tell you. Consolidating the claims alone can be extremely difficult, as a lack of uniformity in beliefs as well as differing, quote, interpretations makes pinning down the actual doctrine nearly impossible. Even the summaries that I've given you now are not even like exactly what they do, what all of them think or do. It makes no fucking sense. And also what this daughter's arguments are related to is she's going to say the term common law. She's going to say, oh, like I'm operating in a realm that you don't even understand. It's just like high level. It's highbrow. Like you wouldn't even get it. Like you are mad just because you can't get in. And you don't understand. And I actually won. And all of you lawyers are stupid and judges are stupid. And you don't actually know the law because I'm operating in common law. Common law is just precedent. It's derived from precedent. A tort, for example. The concept of a tort, the concept of battery and assault, is derived from the common law, meaning what we have commonly held to be assault or battery and have given someone a remedy for. Yes, just because it's codified later, right, in maybe state or federal statutes with respect to specific types of battery and assault, yada, yada. There are indeed entire concepts that are derived from the common law, meaning from judicial precedent, from court cases, from judges saying, oh, well, we've always said this, so we're going to say this again, or judges saying, well, actually, that doesn't make sense. We're going to overturn that precedent. That is how they're interpreting things, how they are laying down the law. Saying that you are operating in the common law just means that you are operating under law that was developed from judicial decisions as opposed to like written statutes, which still brings us to the same exact place. We are doing wheelies in a cul-de-sac right now. And at no time have we ever found a different path out of here. So they're being sued, and they know they're being sued when this interview takes place. Let's hear it.
There's new developments in the mistaken release of an Arizona prison's inmate. Prison officials say David Cramer used fraudulent documents to secure his release from prison decades early. Now 2 of his children are facing legal problems of their own.
I should be able to exercise and be heard. I'm exercising my constitutional rights. That's all my dad was doing.
Haven McQueen said,
Tell me more about why you said that.
down with me last week to talk about her father's case.
So it's awful to get on the news and then now everybody's painting our dad like he's a fraud.
David Cramer was released from prison decades early. The Department of Corrections blames fraudulent court papers. McQueen's name appears on those documents, listed as attorney-in-fact. Now the State Bar of Arizona is suing her and her sister, Paris Cramer. According to the lawsuit, McQueen and Cramer didn't comply with the Arizona Supreme Court's rules on practicing law and aren't authorized to practice law here in Arizona or anywhere else. The lawsuit says the sisters, quote, induced the public to believe that Black Canyon Enterprises, PLLC, was a law firm.
I'm sorry, helping the helpless one law at a time. Black Canyon Enterprise PLLC, Arizona, legal help. And they're looking the camera dead in the face with the blue light glasses and saying, we were not lawyers. No, we weren't. This is what it's like to deal with sovereign citizens, by the way. Like, this is a complete summary. You're staring at exactly the evidence, the thing, exactly what they did, and they're like, no.
McQueen didn't respond to my request for comment, but she previously told me her father's court documents were not fraudulent.
They're signed and sealed by the presiding judge of Maricopa County at the time and by the executive clerk.
The courts say otherwise.
That's your position? You're just saying 10 toes down.
A court spokesman confirmed the judge listed on those documents never signed them.
All my dad's paperwork is labeled as common law Article 3 court.
McQueen and her father repeatedly
Jesus.
told me about an Article 3 court. It's language commonly used by believers in the sovereign citizen movement, which rejects the legitimacy of the court system. Meanwhile, McQueen and her sister are due in court at the end of the month.
Oh, that went hard. Oh, God. If she just tells us enough times that an actual judge signed that and that she never said she was an attorney despite it being on a legal filing that she filed, that we're going to eventually believe her, which, you know, I'm pulling for you, babe. I'm going to be honest, because wouldn't that be something? I would love that for you. A Mandela effect in motion. What can't you do, right? You are sovereign. What happens in your country, in that sovereign country of yours? Anything that your heart desires, men or new, rainbow above your head. Their website, when you go to Black Canyon Enterprises PLLC.com, reroutes immediately to some weird /password site. And as of September, oddly enough, coinciding with when they were sued, says that their website's out of function, right? But they have a very long, unnecessary, but really entertaining disclaimer that doesn't help their case at all. And if they had lawyers who are representing them in this lawsuit, this would not stay up. Like, this page would be gone. But they are not. I checked the docket and they are indeed still representing themselves. So we will keep our finger on the pulse to see how that works out. This is their little update, September 2025, on their website now. This is the only thing that you see. Quote, this site is private and access is restricted. David Cramer lawfully secured his release in June 2025 through private law, UCC filings, affidavits, and constitutional due process. Again, those are words. He acted in his own capacity as judge of record of his own affairs. There it is. There it is. That's what I was waiting for. A judge of Maricopa County didn't sign it. A judge of your fantasy world, little avatar land, Cramer land, signed it. Perfect. That's all I wanted to know. So we aren't in a state of delusion in like convincing people that, oh no, a real judge signed it. We are saying that we are the judges of our lives. Amazing. Exercising rights every American holds under natural and constitutional law. Every individual named or associated with this website and company was formally appointed by David under lawful private authority. This includes his daughters, who acted as attorneys in fact under his appointment. Let's start admitting to this now. Perfect. You unfortunately do need to have a license to practice law. It's like practicing medicine. Such appointments are fully lawful and do not require a state bar license. Wrong. They did not act as attorneys in law. Wrong. But as private representatives under constitutional right. Still wrong. The company, Black Canyon Enterprises PLLC, is a legally registered entity in Arizona. That part's right. The phrase, quote, licensed and bonded refers to its lawful registration and bonding in private capacity. Word is bond, meaning contractual obligation is binding and is a lawful principle in private law, and these bonds are enforceable. We're getting into a realm where I'm not even sure that's... Who do you have a contract with? The prison? We're getting places. I don't know how great I feel about visiting them anymore, but we're getting there. Additional clarifications for accuracy or confusion. Oh, perfect. Amazing. Quote, none of David's family members or associates have ever represented themselves as state licensed attorneys. Wrong. Their role has only ever been private. Saying the word private doesn't mean you aren't under the purview of law. Is this news? Under David's lawful appointment, again, David the judge, jury, and president of his country that I don't really want to visit so much anymore. At no time did his daughters or any associate create, alter, or submit documents on their own behalf. They acted strictly under David's lawful direction, signature, and authority. All filings and actions were completed by David himself. Any participation by his family was ministerial, assisting him in carrying out his rights, not the practice of law. Allegations of fraud or escape on him and his children are false. Fraud would only exist if David had signed in another's name. He did not, but you did. You signed a different judge's name on the line, the order that ordered his release. Whatever. I'm ruining the fun. His filings were correct, unrebutted, and constitutionally protected. Government's failure to release him is itself a violation of their oath and due process. This site remains private. Again, the word private is killing me. For the protection of his family and associates, facts are clear. David lawfully secured his freedom through filings and processes the state left unrebutted. The government's current actions stand in contradiction to their own laws and oaths of office. If they continue to detain him without due process, it is not a reflection of David's conduct, but of their refusal to honor the very constitution they swore to uphold. But your whole position is that you're not bound by the laws of the state and the constitution, but then you're citing to Article 3 courts in your little fun interview. But then here you're saying common law UCC filings and affidavits. There are a lot of things we need to collect, right? Put in one big bowl and start picking out one at a time, as this is absolutely making sense and related, and this is completely unrelated, a different character, okay? If you're going to lie your ass off, at least keep it consistent. Keep it logical. This is not. But this has been an episode of the Rebuttal Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Please try not to file fraudulent documents with the court or walk up to a prison with a fraudulent document signed in your hand and say, please let this man out. Love you guys. Be safe. And I will see you next time. Bye.